those who lost their family? Why is this not all over the news? Are we witnessing the greatest suppression of information ever? Is this not strange? There could be over 1,000 children missing or more, and yet we're not seeing or hearing anything still to this day? Something is not right. Something like hazardous waste being removed by the EPA from Lahaina and being transported to the gun range.
I'm here at the Ukumehame gun range, where the U.S. EPA is starting to bring hazardous waste from the Lahaina burn zone here. It's coming in from trucks and then put into these 55-gallon drums. Now, there are teams of about 80 people from the U.S. EPA wearing white Tyvek suits. It is hot. They're in those respirators. It's very difficult work. This is the first step for cleanup before people can be allowed back into their homes. This process is expected to last several weeks to several months. Then the hazardous waste is shipped to the mainland. Now, along with removing the hazardous waste, the U.S. EPA says it does have cultural monitors to make sure that the operation in Lahaina is as sensitive as possible.
Blue 55-gallon drums being moved. Nothing to see here, right? Let's not forget when the EPA told us that Roundup was less toxic than coffee.
Let's not forget when the EPA told us that Roundup was less toxic than coffee.
Let's also remember that the same chemicals that spilled during the train derailments are the same ones now being found in Maui. Volunteers are now helping to go through the remains of victims' property.
Volunteers are from an organization called Samaritan's Purse, a relief organization that's part of the Billy Graham Ministries. They're literally sifting through handfuls of ash where the owners believe some kind of precious item can be found before the area is sprayed with a sealant for safety and hazardous waste control.
Once they apply that, you would no longer be able to sift or to do anything on that property.
The American people are on the search for answers, and in their quest for the truth, they're discovering many things that seem unusual.
This is a video that shows tunnels and walkways, stairwells under Maui. Questions have been coming up about missing people, specifically missing children. This would be a great way to move people around without anyone seeing. But that's not the intention of me sharing this video. Although that could be a potential, I hope and pray that that is not the case and that missing children are found.
And this.
I don't think people understand how much property Oprah actually owns on the island of Maui. You look up pictures of the house and this is what you see. You see her house, a mansion with her guest house is also a mansion. But this doesn't tell the full story. Zoomed out on Google Earth, she has this exact division of property, almost 1,000 acres that she owns solely. One person owns this much property on someone else's sacred land. Nobody needs that. Her property has its own private road that only a few people can use. So when you go and you look at pictures of Oprah's house on Maui and you only see stuff like this, just know that's not her property. She owns 1,000 times more than what you're seeing. She bought all that property somehow for $6.6 million. If you go and you estimate the value of all that acreage now in Maui, it's over $300 million. So basically, she could sell a third of that land back to the people of Maui at full market price, which is still evil, and use that $100 million to give it back to the people of Maui. No one person needs that much property of any island. It's ridiculous.
And this.
We were so concerned about what was happening in Maui.
You're so concerned about what's happening in Maui that you somehow managed to hire a private firefighting team to protect your land before the fire started. You're so concerned about what's happening in Maui that instead of taking some of that land and housing even a small portion of those displaced people, you've hired a private security team to keep them off your land. You're so concerned about Maui that you simply haven't had time to denounce any of the shady real estate deals which are robbing people of everything they have. You know, like the ones you were involved in that helped you acquire that land for pennies on the dollar of what it was actually worth. You're so concerned about Maui that instead of taking what would amount to a year's salary for you and 4 or 5 of your billionaire friends, which could be used to rebuild the entire place in a matter of months, you're jumping on social media and asking the American public, most of whom can't afford to pay their rent right now, to do it for you. You're so concerned about Maui that it's more important that you get social media points than that you help.
Maui Police Chief John Pelletier is the first non-Hawaiian to lead the police force. As per John's LinkedIn page, he graduated from the FBI National Academy. He's going to use that FBI training to carefully craft his responses when dealing with the Hawaii State Attorney General's third-party investigation that is underway.
Tonight, some of the key agencies responding to the deadly Lahaina wildfire are pledging cooperation with the State Attorney General's third-party investigation. But legal experts say, for now, it's all voluntary.
Well, staff HNN Investigates asked several agencies if their leaders would agree to be interviewed by the independent investigators. Maui Mayor Rick Bisson's office didn't respond, and so far, only one leader answered our question specifically.
You aren't under a court order to compel you to say anything or to speak to anyone. It's totally, at this point, voluntary.
HNN Investigates asked the major players of the Lahaina wildfire response if they'll be interviewed by the third-party investigators. They didn't answer specifically if their leaders would be interviewed.
Speaking of the FBI, they have now released a verified list of the unaccounted people from the Maui fire.
The FBI says there are 385 people reported unaccounted for after the Lahaina wildfire, that is. It's about the same number as the first list, but most of the names are now different. The county says since the original list came out, 245 people were found safe, but 242 new names have been added. These are verified real people with a confirmed first and last name and a contact number for the person who reported